Good afternoon, everybody. My name is AJ Rodriguez, and we will now begin a short presentation on nutrition and emotional health. So, a little bit about me. I am currently a health and human performance student at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. I am in my third year, and my professional experience only extends to an 8-week internship for my exercise prescription for special populations class, but overall I have a 3.6 cumulative GPA. What you can expect from this presentation is, first and foremost, I want you to know why nutrition is an important aspect of mental health, in addition to becoming acquainted with one or two strategies to encourage better eating habits. Not to say that you will be expert on it, but just to know what they are, have a general idea. And finally, know how micronutrients and macronutrients affect mental and physical health. So, to preface this, I think we can all agree as professionals that nutrition is key in exercise recovery and performance. This is something that has been well documented, as well as the effects depression has on motivation. What's more is I think we can all agree that a healthy diet has many benefits, including an increased alertness and energy when it comes to motivation. So, the importance of nutrition and mental health. Research shows a whole foods diet protects against depressive symptoms and major depressive disorder, whereas a diet rich in processed and refined foods, high fat dairy, sweets, this increases the likelihood of developing depression or depressive symptoms, whereas the whole foods diet or any healthy, nutritious diet can actually bolster the effects of antidepressants. So I think it's not a stretch to say that this could have a major implication in exercise motivation. As for strategies to implement better nutrition, a very popular method these days is the use of mobile applications, which provide the user with a highly interactive experience that's easy to utilize, and provides a means of self-monitoring of eating habits as well as individualized feedback. These provide clients and those utilizing them with a very hands-on approach to managing their dietary habits. One such example is Under Armour's MyFitnessPal. Some of these apps utilize a gamification aspect, which provides a sense of competition amongst your peers or just with yourself. And these apps have been proven to help with goal setting, the frequency of eating healthy food, the consistency of one's diet, one's knowledge on healthy dietary habits, as well as their motivation to eat healthy. Moving forward, we see social support. I think, well, I know, I have read that social support is also key in uh, motivating for healthy eating habits. Having those to stand alongside you to push you towards your goals is something that really helps. If we look at health education, this is typically insufficient alone, but it can serve as a mechanism for behavior change within the utilization of mobile nutrition applications. Health education is teaching one to eat healthy and the benefits of good dietary habits. Moving forward, we see motivational interviewing, which, if you will look over here, shows some of the aspects of motivational interviewing. And this really helps with goal setting and helping one realize themselves that they need to make a change and what the possible outcomes to that change could be and how they could go about this. As for the practical applications of implementing dietary change, if we look at the Mediterranean diet, low in processed foods, high in antioxidants, fiber, grains, unsaturated fatty acids, and high in fat. But despite that high fat content, it actually has protective qualities towards depressive symptoms. Now, this diet has a better nutrient profile than other diets, such as the typical Western diet. And in addition, it actually lowers the incidence of neurodegenerative diseases such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, or at least it's been linked to a lower incidence. If we look at the low glycemic load diet, it's been proven in one study to improve stress, depression, glycemic control, and risk of heart disease. So we see here the connection between mental health and nutrition in combination with physical health and nutrition. Moving forward, we can see that while omega-3 supplementation up to 1,000 milligrams a day of EPA and 300 to 500 milligrams a day of DHA has evidence to suggest its effectiveness, but it's difficult to evaluate this effectiveness. As for magnesium supplementation, 450 milligrams a day has been found to be as effective as a 50 milligram day dose of imipramine, which is an antidepressant. Furthermore, if we examine the adherence to a healthy diet with larger proportions of fruits, vegetables, poultry, fish, whole grains, berries, and such, that whole foods diet that we were talking about beforehand, we actually see it's associated with a 25% decrease in risk of depressive symptoms. By contrast, a diet high in pro-inflammatory foods, such as refined flours, high-fat foods, sweets, red meat, processed meat, typical things that would be found in the Western diet in the United States, we see it's actually associated with an increase in one's risk of depressive symptoms. And how this affects us is the brain, despite making up only 2% of our body's total size, it actually requires anywhere from 20 to 30% of the total energy you consume and produce. Your brain doesn't have its own energy stores. It requires entirely aerobic metabolism produced energy. Now, to produce this energy, we need the proper nutrients in order to also get that structure, maintain proper neurotransmission, mitochondrial function, and gene expression. If we look at macronutrients, phospholipids, which are highly unsaturated fatty acids, contribute to membrane flexibility within neurons. Now, with these neurons, the dendrites, the dendritic spines that fuse to other neural membranes during neurotransmitter release, this flexibility is necessary in order for that fusion to occur. When looking at EPA and DHA, which again are those omega-3s we mentioned a little bit ago, these contribute to genetic expression, signal transduction, and the regulation of glutamine, dopamine, and serotonin transmission, neurotransmitters, also known as hormones in certain vocabularies. And again, we see this role of emotional significance within proper nutrition. Moving forward, if we look at a decreased level of vitamin B12, we actually see it creates a loss in these highly unsaturated fatty acids, leading to an increase in free radicals, which will destabilize this neural membrane, causing damage. So vitamin B12 we see is essential in maintaining proper neural pathway health. Moving forward, if we look at carbohydrates with a low glycemic index, we see they assist with glucose absorption, which assists with the release of cortisol, thus improving memory. So this mental benefit from proper nutrition. And again, we look at protein, which can be linked to an increase in dopamine and norepinephrine levels. We also see mental emotional benefits in increased arousal and attention, motivation, memory, learning, and energy levels. So again, here we see the importance of nutrition to mental health. As for micronutrients, I'm only going to cover a couple of these because there are many of them, but if we look at vitamin D, which is integral in mineral homeostasis, apoptosis, that normal cell death as a part of the cell cycle, and genetic expression, we see that low levels of vitamin D are actually associated with depression. But furthermore, if we look at vitamin D and omega 3s with methylfolate and S-adenosine methionine, which is a common depression treatment, we see that these vitamins combined with the depression treatment has actually been shown to improve the effects of the antidepressants. Uh, Going back to B vitamins, they are essential in the Krebs cycle energy production, the electron transport chain, and the folate methionine cycles, which are important in the synthesis of DNA and RNA, as well as the expression of genes. Chromium has been shown to reduce depressive symptoms and carbohydrate cravings, so we see this protective benefit of maintaining one's good mental health in addition to lowering their cravings for poor food choices. Looking at magnesium, we see that it helps maintain muscle and nerve function. So, again, these protective benefits towards neural pathways, as well as regulating heart rhythm, blood pressure, blood glucose levels, and the immune system. A deficiency in magnesium can lead to anxiety, irritability, sleep disorders, depression, and it actually has an inverse relationship with depression scores. So, the more normative or higher your magnesium levels are, the lower your depression scores tend to be. So, what this all means to us is that nutrition has a great impact on preventing depressive mental health tendencies through regulating key mood hormones as well as neurotransmission. Nutrition helps one's current physical health through its role in energy production and DNA synthesis, in addition to maintaining the brain's structural integrity. You've also seen some dietary approaches to managing mental health in the low glycemic load index diet, as well as the Mediterranean diet. Further, you have seen strategies to help encourage dietary modification in mobile applications, social support, and motivational interviewing, in addition to just general health education. So, overall, to feel good, you need to eat good. In order to protect our mental health, we need to make sure we are eating a well rounded, nutritious diet. As for my final thoughts, while there is a clear link between what we eat and what we feel that has been established through nutrient deficiencies, we need more long term research in order to grasp how diet affects our mental health. The information in this presentation does have strong evidence to suggest these connections, and furthermore, methods to implement dietary change seem to be reliable, but need more research, particularly in the case of learning theory-based approaches and how they create behavior change. These learning theory-based approaches were not covered in this presentation. Regardless, the effects of nutrition on mental health should not be ignored when working with those suffering from mental illness. And another little side note that those suffering from depression could stand to benefit, in my opinion, from some form of health education.